3 years ago, he was stomped by a bull at the Hannah Rodeo. Stars got him to a Calgary hospital quickly.
It's the best thing that's around. I hope it's always around.
In a business like this, where every moment counts, where every moment can literally be the difference between life and death, Stars in Edmonton hopes to have charitable money in place within 6 months to a year. Janice Johnson, CFRN Eyewitness News.
When we return, memories of the Alaska Highway.
Also tonight, again, Peace Act protest signs on Parliament Hill.
And William and Harry visit Canada, with the Prince and Princess, of course.
Monday, October 7th, 6 to 7 p.m. CFRN TV. Jen Eyre will unveil the future. See it this Monday, or drop in for a sneak preview now at any one of these fine dealers.
Like the other day, I'm in Kmart, getting bits and pieces, and there was this really neat blouse. So I tried it on, and it looked great. Then I saw this nice bra, so I sort of got this little bikini set. And when I got home, my husband says, I like this Kmart store. He paid so little for so little.
Kmart. The quality you need, the price you want.
You don't have to be a model to look good on the runway. To find true love. Or to light up the town. The new Mazda MX-3 Presidia with the only optional V6 looks good on you.
Mayday! Mayday!
You're coming in loud.
Are you still there? I'm surrounded by high prices, GST, taxes. I need your help.
Get a hold of yourself, man. Leon's is planning a Mayday rescue. Do it! Let's go, ladies! Keep sweating!
What?
And
What?
Take home anything from Leon's today with no payment and no interest till next May.
I'm a very lonely woman, Doctor.
I see.
Budge!
Leon's Mayday Rescue. Hurry before it's too late.
Visa invites you to the Summer Olympics in Barcelona. It's the Be There to Cheer sweepstakes. Enter and you could win a trip for you and your friends to the Summer Olympics. Visa, it's everywhere you want to be, including the Olympics. Be there to cheer.
In national news tonight, the Prime Minister tells farmers not to expect much. A Canada-U.S. trade battle escalates, and Peace Act charges Christmas has come a little early for some. Public service workers went back to the Hill with protest signs. They're furious over cabinet appointees and top public managers getting bonus checks. The government insists this money is from the last fiscal year, not this one. Brian Mulroney told farm leaders today there isn't much money in the kitty for farm aid. He has directed the agriculture minister to dig up what he can for an aid package, and the leaders Mulroney met with today indicated they believe Ottawa will do its best. Ottawa and Washington are continuing a tit-for-tat softwood lumber dispute. Ottawa recently axed the 15% export tax on Canadian softwood. The U.S. has now put that 15% back on in the form of a duty. Americans are afraid that cheap Canadian lumber will be dumped on them. The Mulroney government is pledging to fight back, but won't say how just yet.
Has yielded to pressure.
Elsewhere in the world today, trying to get Haitian coup leaders to step aside. There's more proof of Iraq's nuclear efforts, and Chuck and Di will bring the kids to Canada. Representatives from Canada and 8 other countries have arrived in Haiti. They're trying to get military leaders to restore President Jean-Bertrand Aristide to power. He was deposed in a bloody coup earlier in the week. External Affairs Minister Barbara McDougall is representing Canada. Iraq may have already tested a missile capable of delivering an atomic warhead. UN inspectors say they've found documents in Baghdad to that effect, and they also believe Saddam Hussein's military was less than 2 years away from regular production of material for atomic bombs. And Prince Charles and the Princess Diana will be bringing their 2 sons to Canada in 3 weeks' time. It's the first time that 9-year-old William and 7-year-old Harry will accompany their parents on an official visit. Ottawa and Toronto are on the agenda. The family arrives October 23rd.
Our Alaska or Bust series wraps up tonight. Reporter Garnet Lewis and photographer Barry Fontaine have taken us along all 2,400 kilometers of the Alaska Highway. A lengthy trip that is worth a look back.
Our journey began as it did for most of those who worked on the Alcan Highway in 1942, from Edmonton to Dawson Creek, British Columbia, then heading out from mile zero.
This is Delta Junction, Alaska. It's also the end of the Alaska Highway. Continuing north, it becomes the Richardson Highway, all the way to Fairbanks. People in Fairbanks argue the Alaska Highway actually ends there. Don't tell that to anyone here in Delta Junction.
Kind of a rivalry, I guess, but it is, it's important to us because we wouldn't be here if the end of the Alaska Highway wasn't here. Delta Junction wouldn't be here.
We caught up with Ron and Kelly Sass at a place called Summit. It's the highest point on the Alaska Highway. They set out in an 8-year-old car with 75,000 miles on it and are driving to Fairbanks and back. It's their honeymoon.
Most of the preparations ahead of time were for the car. I make sure I had tune-up, oil change, and I've got several spare parts in the car if I have to on the road maintenance.
We met up again with Ron and Kelly in Whitehorse, and they told us they'd had a wonderful trip. Larry Wood wasn't so lucky. He was stranded in Tok, Alaska.
They pulled the transmission and a piece of metal would come off and ground up on the inside. So
how long are you going to be here for?
If everything works out, it should be in tomorrow from Dallas. A whole transmission, because he ground up so bad inside they couldn't reuse the old one.
And you've been waiting for how long?
Since last Tuesday.
Since last Tuesday, so almost a week.
Almost a week.
We're off the Alaska Highway near Snag, Yukon. It was here in 1947. The coldest temperature ever recorded in Canada was set, -81.
Fresh air, tight curves, and a fast bike. Why mess with perfection?
Not all the traffic on the Alaska Highway is cars or motorhomes. You can drive your motorcycle or even go without a car. Your thumb can take you where you want to go.
I got a really nice ride yesterday with this tour bus full of people from Alabama that were just great. They were real nice. They were singing gospel hymns and everything else. I got to sing along. And
you know, one of the things that's so startling about the North Country here, this is the Clearwater River near Delta Junction, Alaska, is how absolutely clear the water is, crystal clear, and cold, too. This water's running at about 40 degrees.
It's basically the kind of a place where you can sort of be an individual, where there's no fences along the sides of the roads, where you can still go into the bush and get a piece of property and build your own cabin. There's very little noise at night, very uncrowded, very uncluttered.
We leave the North as we entered it by air on a DC-3 built in 1942, the same year as the Alaska Highway. The story we were sent out to cover was about a highway and the 50th anniversary of its construction. We quickly learned it was something more than that. It became a story about people, the people who built the highway, those who live along it, and those who travel it. Back in Whitehorse, we run head-on into the modern world, a jet airliner taking us home. For photographer Barry Fontaine, editor Colin Schmidt, I'm Garnet Lewis. CFRN Eyewitness News.
CFRN will rebroadcast our Alaska or Bust documentary, a 1-hour program that's on Thanksgiving Day, October 14th. It'll be on at 6:30 p.m.
A strong Canadian dollar is a blessing to anyone who plans some cross-border shopping, but as Valerie Oskoski reports, it's also meant some big savings here at home.
The Bank of Canada is taking advantage of our soaring greenback, and you soon will be able to take advantage of the dramatically lower interest rates. The central bank rate is now at its lowest level in 4 years, and some banks are predicting the rate could plunge below 8% by the end of the year. The Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce has already cut most of its mortgage rates by a quarter point. Others are expected to follow soon. Interest rates have fallen more than 5 points in the past year, from a high of 14 3/4 in April of 90 to 9 1/4 today. If you compare a 3-year $100,000 mortgage a year ago to today's rate of 10.5%, you're saving more than $260 a month on payments. And there's a strong suggestion there'll be more savings by the end of the year. Canada mortgage and housing analyst Laurie Scott is here to tell us just what those plunging interest rates will mean to the housing market. Laurie, the latest housing figures show there was a slight slump in the market. How will that change if mortgage rates do fall below 8%?
Valerie, we are going to see more activity in the marketplace. With these lower rates, it does mean that housing is a lot more affordable, and therefore we're going to get an increase in demand.
So anybody looking to buy a home right now, should they hold off and wait for lower rates?
Actually, right now there's all kinds of inventory available out there, and the market hasn't really started to react to these lower rates. So right now is a good time to be out there looking for that new or resale home.
What kind of advice would you have for people maybe looking at renegotiating a mortgage this year?
Well, you certainly want to take advantage of these lower rates, and obviously the way the rates are structured, the shorter the term, the lower the payment's going to be. So if you feel like a gambler, then you're probably going to want to go on the shorter term period and take advantage of the lowest rate possible.
Okay. Thank you very much, Laurie.
Thank you.
In other business news, about 60 Edmonton truckers and mechanics found themselves suddenly unemployed this morning. Rempel Trail Transportation went into receivership without warning Thursday. Employees say there were rumors of closure for a long time, but many were still stunned when it happened. And Canadians are cutting down on long-distance travel. Stats Canada figures show families made 43% more one-night trips last year than in 1990. Trips of 10 nights or more dropped from 2.9 million in 1980 to 2.4 last year. Tourism officials say we can blame the busy baby boomers for taking shorter vacations. With more on the latest business and consumer trends, join us this Sunday at 6:30 on Alberta Business. I'm Valerie Oskowski, CFRN Eyewitness News.
On the markets today, the Canadian dollar closed down 1/50th of a cent to 88.4. The future contracts on oil are off, but only by a nickel a barrel. In Toronto, the composite index fell almost 14.5 points. In New York, the Dow Jones average of 30 industrials dropped 23 points. Gold is up another $1 to the 360 range, but silver lost a dime to go back to 440.
When Eyewitness News returns, a tribute to Mark Messier.
And later on, following the Oilers through the eyes of a season ticket holder.
And we're going to take another look at the tabloids with Pat Kiernan.
It seems like when tire prices are low, you don't need tires. But as soon as you do, the prices go right back up. Well, you'll never have to play this game again. Introducing Canadian Tire's low-price tire pledge. Great low prices on all Motomaster tires. Every day. No strings attached. The low-price tire pledge. Only at Canadian Tire.
Rebates, rebates. Get $2,000 rebates on all used vehicles. It's our year end, and we're passing on inventory rebates up to $2,000 on all used vehicles. And look at the deals. Get a $2,000 cash rebate on this loaded 90 F-150 with air and cruise. That leaves just $99.95. Or get this 86 Sable for $6,400, or pay a low $4,400 for this loaded 84 Suburban. Rebates, rebates, and just for looking, we'll buy you lunch at City Ford.
If you use a scouring powder on this, you get this.
Vim.
Vim can't scratch because it's a liquid. Powerful Vim cleans the toughest dirt and leaves a sparkling shine.
Vim.
Powerful on dirt, yet gentle on surfaces.
By
feel like I am making some small contribution to the big breakthroughs that are occurring in this field.
Helen Bowman is one of the many researchers funded in part by the makers of brand-name prescription medicine.
Neuroscientists are making vital breakthroughs in pain research and in Alzheimer's research and in spinal paralysis.
The brand-name pharmaceutical companies are a leading funder of all medical research in Canada.
This is important because it ensures that Canadian scientists remain key players in the global search for new cures.
Canada's brand-name pharmaceutical companies, bringing research to